This is The Clash, where the real world clashes with a true Christian worldview. Join former professional wrestler Chris Whaley, known as the Masked Saint, who is an author, pastor, and teacher that brings his wrestling skills into the squared circle and tackles real-life issues. Along with Jeff Dixon, best-selling author, internationally known teacher, leader, and pastor who is not afraid to tackle the tough issues of the world we live in. Together they form a tag team of wisdom in The Clash.
Hi, and welcome once again to The Clash, where we take a Christian worldview and allow it to clash into the culture around us. And hopefully when we're done, you'll discover something that's entertaining, enlightening, make you more enthusiastic about living life, and hopefully provide some good entertainment, as well as a little bit of gospel truth that will help you in your journey. Now, I'm Jeff Dixon, and they just let me sit in this chair and warm the chair up. The real star of this show is sitting next to me, hiding under the cowboy hat.
All right.
And that would be none other than the saying himself, Chris Whaley. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Jeff. Boy, it's going to be a great day. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to be in Georgia, and I never met this guy, and he asked me to come and be at his event. Jeff, it's amazing today that you have a Christian professional wrestling organization. Mm-hmm. You know, we've had another one on here before, and our guest today is probably one of the pioneers of that whole concept. His name is Marty Miller. He has Hope Championship Wrestling, and just, you know, goes all over the place, goes into prisons, taking professional wrestling, but most of all taking the gospel too when he goes into those events. And Marty, it is great to have you with us today, man. Thank you for coming.
Guys, thank you for having me. I don't know about an introduction. I don't know about a pioneer of anything, but I do appreciate it. Appreciate being on here with you guys.
Well, see, I get nervous when Chris says stuff like that because I think, well, why do they want to talk to us? So, you know, I'm honored that you're here. And now you're actually, though, at a show right now when we're recording this. You've taken time out of kind of working.
Yes, sir.
To kind of jump in with us. So tell us what you're doing right now.
So right now we're in Jackson, Georgia for Lariato Pro Wrestling. Guys, some of your viewers may know by the name of Luke Gallows in WWE. Doing his own thing now, running his own promotion, and we're getting ready to do a big fundraiser for their football team. And we just got the ring set up and everything. So we're just taking a little break, and glad to be able to take a break and be with you guys during this. So.
Well, man, we're thrilled to have you. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, well, let's start with the good stuff there, Marty. Just tell us about your journey of faith.
So I grew up in church. You know, I tell people that there's a Christian rapper, Lecrae. He tells everybody that he was a drug baby. His grandma drug him to church every chance she got. And that's kind of how I grew up. My dad was a deacon in the church, and we were there all the time. You know, I knew all the stories. I knew all the stuff. I was that church kid. And I was about 12 years old. Something happened. I still don't know what happened with my dad in the church. He walked away. And for me, as a 12-year-old kid who just looked at church as a bunch of rules and stuff, that was freedom for me. I was like, man, yes, I can go watch a PG-13 movie. I can listen to non-Christian music. I can do all this stuff that I couldn't do before. And so I spent the next 8-9 years running from God, running far from God. I started drinking at like 14 years old. Just got involved with stuff that I should have never been involved in. I never stopped believing in God. I didn't understand who he was. It was just a bunch of stories to me. And then about 2021, I just started feeling something. Like something was missing. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know what it was. And through a series of events, I ended up getting invited to a church service, and I went. And the first service I went to, God just absolutely wrecked me. Mm-hmm. And for the first time in my life, I knew who Jesus was, not just the story of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And so that was 20. Let me do my math here real quick. 23 years ago that I gave my life to Christ, and man, it's just been a journey ever since. through various highs and lows, and we can get into some of that later. But yeah, that's just kind of been my walk with him ever since there for 23 years now in October.
Wow.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, now, so obviously though that coming back to Jesus and getting that moment where you kind of come face to face with him, boy, that's a long jump though from Hope Championship Wrestling, right? I mean, how does that happen? I mean, how do you end up from coming back to God all of a sudden and now running and managing and owning a wrestling company?
So professional wrestling has been my life since I was a little boy.
Okay.
I can remember being about 4 or 5 years old and seeing a commercial for WTBS wrestling on Saturday night in Atlanta. And I remember the commercial, I mean, like it was right now. The Road Warriors, Dusty Rhodes, these larger-than-life guys screaming and hollering and hitting each other. I don't know, something about it just grabbed me at a young age. And you could ask my parents, that was my life. Like when I would get in trouble in school, other kids get put on restriction, I got wrestling taken from me.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It was just literally my life. And so I wanted to be a wrestler. That was my dream. I remember my prom, my senior year, my prom, they announced, they tell you what you're going to go to college to do. And I remember they said, Marty Miller, he's going to be a pro wrestler. And, so that was my goal. And then, so when I was, my summer of my junior year, I worked 2 jobs and I bought my first wrestling ring. I worked all summer, bought my first wrestling ring, put it in my backyard. And several of the local guys in Georgia would come to work out in the ring. And my only cost was, hey, you got to train me. Whatever you're working on, you got to teach me. Okay. And so I got in the ring and just started doing all that. And I quickly found out that in the ring stuff wasn't for me. I like the behind the scenes stuff, putting everything together and whatnot. Sure. And so I started running my own shows. And then when I got saved, when I gave my life to Christ, God took me completely out of wrestling. I mean, nothing to do with that. I didn't watch it. I got rid of everything that I had because what God showed me was that it became a God to me, an idol to me, because it was everything to me. It was the most important piece in my life. And so he took me completely out. And then that lasted for about 7 or 8 years. And then I come home from work one day and my son, Caleb, was watching wrestling. And I remember my first instinct was to cut it off. But then I thought about, wait a minute. He's a little bit older than I was when I fell in love with it. Let's just see what happens. And so he really got into it. And I just started praying. I said, God, look, if you open this door for me, I want to do it to honor you. That's the only reason I want to be involved in it. Mm-hmm. And so it took a few years, but he gave me the idea of the Christian wrestling. And so I started doing searching online, and I found there's a company in Texas that was called Christian Wrestling Federation that was really one of the first ones to do it. And I was like, man, why can't we do something like that here in Georgia? And so that's just slowly what I started working on. And we're this November, we'll celebrate our 4th anniversary of doing it. Wow. And so that's how it came about.
Wow. So when I was with you, you were just getting started with that then, right?
That's right, I was.
Wow. That's amazing.
Maybe about the 2nd or 3rd show that we did.
Yeah. What's been your highs and lows of promoting wrestling?
So the highs for me, my most favorite thing here recently is we've been able to go. We've done 3 now where we've been able to take our ring and take our team inside of a jail. And they actually let us in the walls of the jail. We've done 2 youth facilities and an adult facility. And, we joked, he's like, oh, it's a captive audience. They have nothing else to do. But they really got into not only the event, but the message as well and the response afterwards. And not only from the inmates, but the staff and the wrestlers as well. It's been just, God has absolutely blown my mind that he could use a bunch of wrestlers to not only share the gospel, but with inmates. Yeah. That's been the absolute best. And since we've been doing this.
That's awesome, man. When I was with Marty, I had the awesome opportunity of sharing the gospel from the ring with Nikita Koloff, who we've had on the show. Sure. Mm-hmm. And I remember that night we had like 13 people accept Christ, and it just, the whole time home, as my wife and I were driving home. We were in our RV. Whole time home, I said, man, what would be awesome is to have like a Christian WrestleMania. That's what I tried to do, and it's still going to happen one day.
Okay.
Where we have this, have all these guys like Ted DiBiase and Nikita Koloff and Lex Luger and Mark Miro and others that can, get up and share their faith, and we could also have Christian professional wrestling. I've got this all in my mind. One day Marty's going to help me put this on, but
he's got a ring. He can bring the ring.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
He's just inspiring a lot of people, which includes, I'm sure, a lot of wrestlers and all. Yeah. But you go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, well, now tell me. We're going to take a break here in a couple minutes, but before we do, tell me then how do you recruit? How do you get this stable of wrestlers that kind of link their life with Hope Championship Wrestling, and what does that look like now?
So it's really happened organically. Here's what I figured out. When we started this, my first goal was to create like a chaplaincy type of existence in wrestling, like a Fellowship of Christian Athletes type thing, because that doesn't exist in professional wrestling. Baseball teams, football teams, they have a chaplain. Professional wrestling doesn't have anything like that. And so that was my first goal, and I still want to do that. But what I found, just going to shows like tonight, there are a lot of wrestlers that are Christians. They just have never had an avenue to grow their faith and to share their faith. A lot of them can't go to church because they're on the road all the time or whatever it may be. And, and some of them, you being a pastor, that some people just kind of feel ostracized because of their career.
Sure.
And maybe what people picture as professional wrestling. And so I've just all I really did was let God bring the guys to us. And he's built, there's been over the years, we've had to move some guys, hey, this was not really working out or whatever. And so it's been a building process of finding the right ones. And we've got a really good team now. And, we're always looking for more, but they've just kind of reached out to me, and I believe it's just God saying, "Hey, I got this. You just do what I tell you to do. I'm going to send you the people that you need."
Wow! And so when you're putting together a show, and I mean you've done them here before, so when you do that, you basically just throw out the date and kind of, do you cherry pick who you want there, or you just kind of say who's available, guys? We got this show, we got something on the calendar. How's that?
I screen all of our guys, okay, because I've been to what is called a Christian show before that was anything but. And so I believe that if you're going to do something for God, you do it at the best of your ability.
Sure.
And so I screen everybody that wants to work for us, everybody that reaches out and say, I want to work for you guys, even the quote unquote names that are out there. I talk to them, say, listen, this is what we do. This is who we are. I don't require you to preach, but I do want you to be able to want to be involved in something like this. And so we screen everybody that we use. And usually what I do is when I start putting the show together is I'll just pray about it. Usually God will lay a few names on my heart, and we'll just kind of build it from there. Who will be a good match with each other, and just kind of build it on there.
Well, I want to pick back up with that after we come back from the break, because I've got a question about that. But we need to take a break, and we'll do that right now and be back. Don't you leave. We'll see you in just a minute. Jeff, did you ever, in your wildest imagination, think that one day we would have this great TV show called The Clash, and you could actually buy T-shirts and stuff that had The Clash on? Did you ever think that possible?
Yeah, when I was 3 years old, I had a vision.
You did?
That was going to happen one day. No, I'm just kidding. I never thought about that. So.
Hey, it's just awesome, man. I mean, of course, the tagline, "Don't tap out."
Yeah.
On the hat.
Look at that.
Yeah. And then on the back of the hat, it's got The Clash. And I don't know, what you got?
Well, I've been sitting around thinking about, how could you think about The Clash 24 hours a day and at the same time hydrate?
Oh, wow.
This cup right there, look at there.
How awesome is that?
That's a mini tumbler right there.
Wow.
But you could get a coffee cup.
You know what? I need to get one of those to pour the coffee into it so it keeps
You also could get a mug though. If you're a mug guy, you can get a mug.
Yeah.
You get a big taller tumbler that you can walk around. And so when you're walking around drinking stuff with our logo on it, people say, "What is the Clash?" And they can tell you all about the TV show.
So you need to look at that little QR code down at the bottom of your screen, and you just get your camera, your phone out, you put it on camera, and you look at that, and a little thing will come up, and you touch that, takes you right to the store. It's so easy, even I can do it.
There you go.
Jeff, we got some dead air time. What are you doing?
Chris, I'm looking at the Church at 434 app. It's an incredible app. It's absolutely free. And you can watch us, you can watch video, you can get resources for your walk and your journey of faith, and it's absolutely free. Just go to the Church at 434 and your app store, Google Play, and just download it and join us online all the time. Hey, we're glad you didn't go anywhere, because if you would have left, you'd have missed us talking with Marty. And Marty is sharing what Hope Wrestling is all about and sharing his story. We've talked about his journey of faith so far. And Chris, you want to follow up a little bit what we were just talking about?
Something that Marty was talking about there at the end for our first break. I follow Marty on Facebook, and there is a Facebook message feed for Hope Championship Wrestling, and you guys really have a great, I'd say, a great network of ministry and also holding each other accountable. I don't know how your whole purpose on doing that feed, but I love reading it. You guys just put some great stuff on there. I put a few things on there, but I love reading your stuff.
So we call that the Fellowship of Christian Wrestlers. Just took it right off the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. There's a lot of wrestlers that are believers, and they just don't really have a place to really grow their faith. And so we wanted to say, hey, look, you're not alone. There's a group of us, and I got a Facebook group that's got almost 500 people in it. And I think the message thread that gets used more than the group does has almost 100 guys in it, and it's mostly guys. And we just say, look, we know what you're going through. We know the world you live in. We've been there. Let us try to lead you in Christ in that world. We don't take you out of that world. We don't lead you in that world. And so yeah, it's. I want it to be more than it is, but it's getting there. It's kind of growing a little bit. Gunner, Chad Lau, used to be Jackson Riker in WWE. He posts a lot in there, and he helps us with that a lot. So it's really taking off here lately.
Yeah, I mean that the way you're doing it though, I respect, and I think there's great value in that, because you're not short-circuiting the process. You're not gimmicking your way into getting a following. You're letting God kind of lead that. And I know it's a novel approach for a lot of people, just trust the Holy Spirit to make it work, right? But He is, and so I'm excited about that. I want to ask you about this. This is you sent this to me. You have written a book called Wrestling with Faith, and it's a 21-day devotional book with a lot of, I guess, lack of a better word, there are testimonies that are included in the book as well from some folks. One of them is sitting next to me over here. He's got his little piece in there. But I mean, there's some other guys that have written some stuff. Tell me about the journey to get this book written and what's been going on with it.
So anybody that's known me for a long period of time knows that for me to write a book is an amazing feat in itself. I was a school teacher for a few years, and that just blows people's mind. But the idea of writing a book, I don't know, it's just something that God laid on my heart years ago. And I started I've always been one to kind of take something that you watch and try to connect it with faith. Like if I watch a movie, I love the Marvel movies. And so when I watch those, I try to find little elements in there, like, oh, you know what? That's scripture, what he just said right there. Right. And so I try to find little stuff like that. And what I found was when I was watching wrestling, I would see these stories and I was like, wait a minute, that's straight out of the Bible. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, let's take these stories and see if we can't connect them to scripture and give maybe, a fan or whatever it may be, another outlet to figure out who God is. And so that's really the point of the book. And it's been, we've sold, I want to say, I just guessing maybe a couple hundred copies already. And it's been pretty amazing what God's doing with that already. And we've got I want to say there's 30 testimonies in there from wrestlers about their faith walk and stuff. So it's been real good.
Well, I mean, I want to tell folks if they can pick up a copy of it. I've worked through the 21 days by way of like a devotional book, and it's excellent. I mean, it's fun. If you're a wrestling fan at all, you recognize the names, the stories. My favorite chapter, by the way, in here is chapter 8, where you tell the Dusty Rhodes stories, and you actually write out his hard times. Mic work, man. Oh, it's classic. And when he's talking to Ric Flair about putting some hard times on his family. I mean,
right.
And I remember that when I was reading that. I mean, I was smiling ear to ear, laughed out loud because, again, that was a part of my childhood, man. I remember hearing that, and man, when Dusty Rhodes talks and all that inflection was there. And so for me, I mean, I think I've reread that chapter, more times than I can remember, just because, again, you captured the moment and you actually put it down and made a spiritual application with it, which, again, is a great way to do it, and very pastoral, by the way. So, I mean, congratulations on the book. We're going to make sure folks know how to find it before we wrap the episode up. Okay.
Thank you.
Marty, what do you think it is about professional wrestling that draws people?
It's the story. I think we as a society, as people, as humans, we love a good story. Mm-hmm. We want to be entertained. I'll get in trouble with some church folks here, but I hate the term. There's a term that people will say when they come to a church to sing or whatever it may be. They'll say, "We're not here to entertain." Mm-hmm. And listen, while I believe that should not be the point of what they're doing, if we don't entertain people, they're not going to watch us. They're not going to pay attention to us. Mm-hmm. Because we as humans want to be entertained. We want to see a story. We want to feel a story. And professional wrestling, I tell people all the time, because people are like, "Oh, that stuff's fake," and whatever. I'm like, listen, if you just watch it like a movie and get involved with the characters and see what this guy's doing and that guy's doing and how they interact with each other, you'll fall into it just like you would a Marvel movie or Yellowstone or whatever it is that you like to watch on television. Yeah. And I think that's what draws people, that bigger than life. Like for me, if you read the book, what really grabbed me was the Road Warriors. They were my favorite team growing up. But seeing these two massive giants of men, muscled up, painted face, shoulder pads with spikes on them, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what this is, but I want to be in it. I want to watch it. I want to be involved with it. And I think wrestling grabs people like that.
Yeah,
I agree.
I had the opportunity of being at an autograph picture thing with Animal just a couple of months before he died, and it was just some of the most awesome time, just spending time with him there and talking. Right. And all, and it was such a shock whenever I found out that he'd passed away. And there's a lot of guys today that I think can continue to make a great impact on people who are in professional wrestling. And you've had quite a few guys there. I mean, I mentioned Nikita Koloff. Tell us about some other guys that you've had there.
So we've had Nikita several times. Nikita's always been a mentor of mine, so he's always been there to help us out. But we've had Lex Luger, Gunner, Chad Lau, Jackson Riker, Lodi from WCW. We've got Buff Bagwell, who is given his life to Christ in recent years. He's going to be sharing his testimony at our next event in June, and there's several guys that have been out there, and some others we've talked to about wanting to be more involved with it and stuff. And like I said earlier, they just never had an opportunity to share their faith like this. Mm-hmm. It's just never been a thing.
All right.
Well, Marty, if folks, let's go back to the book for a minute. How do people get a copy of this book?
It's on Amazon. That's probably the easiest way. But if you want an autographed copy, you can go to our website, which is hopewrestlingministries.org, and you can contact me through there, and I can do an autographed copy through there. But Amazon's probably the easiest. Okay. They probably take it in a couple of days.
Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, also, that website you just gave, that's also how we can keep up with what you're doing, where Hope Wrestling is, and
yes, sir.
how to find the next show that you're doing. And
yeah, we put it all on there, and of course we're on there. All the social media, you can just look up Hope Wrestling Georgia, and it'll come up.
Okay.
And we're all over the place.
Now, we also have, though, folks that watch us that, what if they wanted to contact you too and put together a show where they say, hey, look, we're having an event. I mean, you're doing an event tonight, a fundraiser. How do they do that? What's involved in that for, like, John Q. person that doesn't know anything about it?
Yeah.
What's the steps they need to go through?
So the easiest way is just to go to that website, hopewrestlingministries.org, or you can email me, hopewrestlingministries@gmail.com, and we'll put it together and show you how easy it is. A lot of people think that it's a big production. It's really hard to do. It's really not. It's really quite simple. And it's a good fundraiser tonight. There's going to be 300 to 400 people in this building tonight for this football team, which is a huge fundraiser for them. And people love it. People love wrestling. They're going to come to it.
Yeah.
And then we just take wrestling and say, hey, we're going to add just a little bit to it and share the gospel in there. And so that, like I said, the website there, the Hope Wrestling Ministries @gmail.com, goes straight to me, straight to my phone. I'll pick it up and we'll connect.
Yeah. I mean, I can attest to that because when you came here, I mean, again, I think all that we did is provide you some strong backs that could help if needed, and you really didn't even need that. I mean, we just kind of stood around and watched this thing all come together, and so it was very much a open the doors and give you guys some room to do what you do. And so again, but a great experience, a lot of fun, and great excitement. I mean, we had a blast.
We've been down there.
Well, and here now we've made some improvements because last time you were here, we had these low-hanging chandeliers that were always in the way if somebody was coming off the roof. We got rid of the chandeliers. So we did that. We raised the roof just in case wrestling comes back to town. So we're okay.
Yeah, I remember that event because we were going to do it outside, and it looked like it was going to rain.
Brought it inside. Yeah.
So they had the ring like halfway set up, so they had to take the ring down and then move it inside, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, hey Marty, you touched on something earlier in the area of entertainment. One of the things that have captivated me about Christ when I came to know Christ was a pastor down in West Palm, Dr. Jess Moody. The first time I ever heard that guy, he was different than anybody I'd ever heard before because he told stories that I could relate to. And then I became a Christian, and I was in that college, and he actually taught a course in that college. And he said, boys, when you're preaching, he said, do like Jesus did. He said, Jesus told stories.
Exactly.
Somebody would say something. He said, a man had 2 sons. One wanted his inheritance. He tells the story of the prodigal son. And he said, you win people by getting them involved in those stories with the gospel. And I just thought of that because I think that's unique in what you're doing.
Yeah. Is
you're telling a story, but you're captivating them with the gospel in that story.
You got to grab their attention. I've worked with teenagers for most of my life, but adults are the same way. You got to grab their attention, and if you give them something that intrigues them, they'll listen better.
Yeah.
And it don't matter the age.
Yeah. By the way, do you know he's a former youth minister, right? You're not a youth minister now, right?
No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir.
He's a former youth minister. Jeff's a former youth minister.
I've been there, done that. Been a lot of camps, been to a lot of events. So
I was like the world's worst youth minister. I was terrible. I told you
but we're proof positive though. You can come out of youth ministry, and someone will give you a TV show.
There you go.
There you go. So Marty, thank you so much. We are looked at the clock here. We're out of time, but good luck tonight, obviously. But also, we want folks to connect with you. So make sure you reach out to Marty, email him if you saw him on the show, and you can go through the website. But thank you so much for telling the story. Thanks for what you do. You are making a huge impact, and so God bless you, and God bless Hope Championship Wrestling, man. Just keep it up.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here and appreciate the friendship with you guys as well.
All right, listen, well, God bless you. Have a great night, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Have a good night. Bye.
And remember, don't tap out.